MMA and bare knuckle fight fans. We've got Kaleb Harris in the house today. Kaleb, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Actually, as soon as I get done, I'm headed to one of our local gyms to do some open mat training to get another sweat in.
Wow. You are one hard-working boy, and we're going to get into all your training in just a few minutes because you've got a big fight coming up against Johnavan Vistante. So how is training camp going?
It's going great. Our rounds, I'm pushing twice as long as what the fight will be. I'm training to prepare to go nonstop for the full 2-minute rounds, and just I don't quit. That's the main point. Is my cardio is just unstoppable.
Speaking of not quitting, I know that I saw a post on social media, I believe it was Twitter, which says that you've been grinding it out. You're also holding a day job as well. When do you sleep?
I usually, my day starts, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm at work by 6, get off work at 2:30. I go home for about 2 hours, and then from 4:30 to pretty much 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, I'm at the gym. And I maybe get home probably about 9:30, and after supper and everything, I'm in the bed probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock most nights. So I get maybe 5-6 hours of sleep a night, maybe a little more if I'm lucky on some nights.
Well, it's good to be active, I think, because you're getting ready for that big fight. And speaking of your fight, your opponent, he looks like he has some good hands, but he hasn't fought bare knuckle. Do you feel like that gives you an advantage at all?
I really don't. I don't like to think that I have the advantage. I will say from my previous bare knuckle fight, before then I had never been in a single street fight at all. I've never been hit with a bare fist. So that was something that Harris Stevenson definitely had an advantage on me about. He knew the kind of pain and the kind of feeling it was going to be going in there. I may see in the first round, I'll know when I see it on his face if it's bothering him or not. But the man's 9-11 in MMA, and just going off of his looks, and knowing that he come from Hawaii, I figure he's probably been in a few backyard brawls every now and again. So I'm just gonna go out there and run my game plan and see what happens.
You know, you just mentioned Harris Stevenson, and you bring up a good point because I was going to ask you, looking back at your loss at BKFC 5, what would you have done differently? You just mentioned the power of the bare knuckle, but anything else?
The only thing I really feel like I would have done different is gotten my composure back quicker. Within the first 30 seconds, I got split open real bad. Never been cut in 18 fights between MMA and bare knuckle. I've never been cut. So that freaked me out in the first 15, 20 seconds of the fight because I was terrified I was fixing to have the fight called because of some silly cut. And when I saw the cut man could fix it, I was good. But it still took me that second round to calm my heart rate down. But 3, 4, and 5, I mean, you can listen to the commentators and make your own judgment. 3, 4, and 5, I was comfortable. I was finding my zone. Looking back, I wished I could have. It's not so much I would have done something different. It's just there's not a way that I could have prepared for that other than just if somebody had just came up to me beforehand and hit me in the face bare fist, and I'd be like, okay, that's what that feels like. And I had a few teammates that offered to do that, but I was like, no, I think I'll just wait and find out for myself. But
you know, you bring up a good point because I want to educate our viewers. I'm a bare knuckle fan, and I understand this sport, but maybe you can share with our viewers how different the punching style is and what it feels like without a glove, with an open fist. Because about a year ago, I did a story with Beck Rawlings. Hey, shout out Beck Rawlings, we love you. And she was talking about a palming technique, which I thought was interesting. So the preparation is very different, I would think, as well, for getting into bare knuckle as opposed to MMA.
The biggest thing that I found, and that I have to watch for because I'm still very active in my MMA career as well, is you're able to move your head a lot lower and deeper. But as far as the punching goes, I tell people it's like getting into a fight with a bat and getting into a fight with a knife. The bat is just blunt force, so that's like the glove. When you take shots, you're taking a lot of blunt force trauma. And with the knuckles, I'll even tell myself a lot of times when we're doing light sparring with MMA gloves on, there's certain punches that when they land, I can tell myself if that had been a knuckle, that would have been a cut. So you're definitely more likely to get cut open in bare knuckle versus MMA or boxing. And that's probably the biggest thing. It's where I think people that can master head movement or either can just be a dog and stand there and take abuse, those are going to be the people that make a career out of bare knuckle because they're going to be the ones that can survive without taking as much scar tissue.
Really interesting commentary. Thank you for sharing that with our viewers. Speaking of the fact that you also have a background in MMA, what attracted you to bare knuckle?
So I'm a really, growing up, I was the soft kid. I loved competition, but I was the soft kid. I kept my head down. If somebody wanted conflict, I walked away, or I apologized even if it wasn't my fault, just because I didn't want to fight. And I got into martial arts when I was 7 years old, and since then something has changed somewhere along the lines in my life to where I wanted to prove to the world just how tough and just how good I was. And then it got to be where I didn't care about the world anymore. I wanted to prove to myself. So every time I saw something harder or more savage, I wanted to do it. So when I saw bare knuckle, I think it was the first time in Biloxi they fought, I looked at my best friend. I told him, I said, I want to do this. And I even actually tried to sign up online, but I never heard nothing back. Fast forward to Bare Knuckle 5, and Ricky Duran, who is the local contact for Bare Knuckle in Biloxi, I messaged him like, what do I got to do and what does it pay? And when they told me what it paid and that he could get me on, I said, let's do it. I got a title fight 30 days before. As long as I don't get hurt, I want to do it. And I'm one of those people that I don't ever want to look back on my life and say, man, I wish I'd done that, or, you know, so-and-so, I could have done that. I want to be able to say I did that, and if I have kids one day, I want to be able to show them, look, your dad paid for college by fighting grown men bare fist.
Right. What a wonderful theory that is that you have. I think that, not a theory, what a wonderful attitude you have. I think it resonates with our audience because so many people out there are fighting for different causes and different things. So really great conversation. Now, I also wanted to ask you, you also recently just competed in a jiu-jitsu tournament and won some titles. We got to talk about that.
Well, it was a local in-house tournament. Our overall affiliation is with American Killer Bees under Israel Gomez. And my best friend, Dustin Afuma, and shout out to Primal Martial Arts Academy in Forest, Mississippi. We had a couple of guys. He opened up a gym about 5 months ago, and we're under that affiliation with along with about 5 other schools. One of the school's coaches decided to do an in-house tournament about twice a year. And so a couple of our students wanted to compete. Well, I decided to jump in and compete with them because the way me and Dustin look at it is, you know, you don't teach by standing in the back and telling them what to do. You get out there and show by example. And our guys did good. 2 of them lost their first match, but they went against guys way more experienced than them. Then we had one guy, John, that made it to second place in the white belt. And then I competed because my BJJ rank is a white belt. I competed in the white belt, and then I jumped up into the blue belt ranks and won both first place and with takedown of the day. And
wow, congratulations.
I appreciate it.
I also wanted to ask you, how did you get the name Lionheart?
So the rule of thumb is you can't give yourself a fight name or nickname. And I had a few different ones in my amateur career, but when I got with my coach now, I'm still with the coach that I started with, but I also train with my coach now, Johnny Little, from Black Cells MMA. And my debut as a pro, it was me and 5 other teammates. We were all fighting in our hometown of Jackson. And right before we walked out, get ready to walk out for my fight against Trey Manley, Coach always gives us a speech that generally is tailored more towards whichever fighter is walking out, but it always fires us all up. And he just started talking about my heart and how I never quit in training, how I'm always pushing myself harder. I'm looking for anything to make me that much better. And he told me, he said, I've got the heart of a lion. And that's when he looked at me and said, that's your fight name, Lionheart. And I went out there with energy beyond this world because my coach had bestowed upon me that name, and I wanted to prove every ounce of it true.
I think it totally suits you. I like that. I like that story. You know, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about something that's important to both you and I, because suicide prevention is a cause that is near and dear to the heart of many, as I mentioned, including my own. Can you share with our viewers your experience, please?
So it's not just suicide awareness. I'm a big advocate on mental health. Several years ago, it's not. I don't classify myself because I know others that have had things worse. But I've battled with bouts of depression. I've battled with self-doubt a lot, and there's a big stigma that, like, especially for men, that if you admit that you have these issues, then you're weak or you're simple-minded or, you know, you just need to man up. And in some cases, that's all you need to hear from somebody is your best friend telling you, dude, get over her, get your life together. But then other times, there's things that have, and there's been times where I've went into some dark worlds because of mistakes I made in my past that people brought to light, and I thought that I was going to lose everybody that I cared about. And my family, my mom has experienced death from suicide in her family. And it's a hard thing to fight because most of the time people aren't thinking straight when they commit it.
Yes.
And
agreed.
they don't realize who they're leaving behind. And I will never call somebody that commits suicide a coward. They just felt alone and thought that was the only way. And that just meant that somebody else in their family didn't get to them in time. But anybody that's battling depression and stuff, part of me fighting is it's an example of what goes on. Like my last bare knuckle fight, it would be a great example to explain to somebody what goes on inside somebody's head when they're fighting depression. They're taking abuse that no one else can see. And sometimes all they need is just somebody to say, hey, man, I'm here for you. You need to talk or a hug. I tell anybody that I train with, teammates, students, I don't care if you just came in 2 days ago. If you feel like the world's crashing in on you and you need somebody to just vent to or talk to, I'm here. Because I know that if I didn't have my best friend or my coach that I can come to and talk to, there's a good chance I wouldn't have been here today.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I think you've inspired a lot of people. Before we go today, is there anything else you want to add?
I'd just like to tell anybody that's out there that if you feel like you're alone in the world or you feel like everything's falling apart, that maybe everything's breaking down so that it can be rebuilt stronger, and just not to give up hope.
All right. Anything else you want to add today?
Yes, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Beavers Unlimited, Lyle's Machinery & Co., Primal Martial Arts Academy, Cerami's Italian Restaurant, some of the best food you'll ever eat in the state of Mississippi as far as authentic Italian. And then my newest sponsor I'd like to thank is Engaged Fightwear, who also sponsors Israel Adesanya and several other big-name UFC fighters. I just picked them up and will be wearing their shorts. And I just want to thank everybody that has ever helped me along the way, whether it was financially or emotionally, and supported me in my career so far.
All right, fight fans, you can catch BKFC 7 Saturday, August 10th. It's going down at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum, and you can get tickets at www.bareknuckletv. I wish you good luck on your fight. And by the way, fans and viewers, we will be at the fight, bringing you all the interviews and all the action. Good luck, Kaleb.